Week 1, Lady Boss Series. Crystal Marshall here, and if you saw in the intro, we run a contracting business out of our home, a photo video studio out of our home, a graphic design business, multiple merch stores, passive income streams, and we homeschool full-time. And we do this all while being married, while being a faith-based family. And how does that work in today's world? So we're going to kind of tackle some of these things, practical resources, this entire month. Today we're going to do very, very simple, how to start your LLC, what to do. A lot of these things will be Virginia-specific things because we're in Virginia, of course. But I'm sure you can go to your state SEC, your city hall, how that looks for you. First of all, you have to sit down and think through what your business is going to look like, what your goals are, and I actually have a resource down below, and it's a free PDF that me and my daughter was able to put together, brainstorming how to get a mentor, things to ask your mentor. So it's a free PDF that we designed together, and that it will help you. You can also use it for your kid. You can also sit down and have your teen or your preteen sit down and think through like some things that they can learn, some things they can do, some things they can grow, some resources, that kind of thing. So that free PDF will be down below, how to start and grow your business for kids, but it's also for beginners, for newbies. I also have down below an entire blog post of how I was able to create my photo business and some things to do, SEC and city filing and QuickBooks and those kind of things. And it is photographer specific, but a lot of the resources are the same. The how I manage, all my taxes, QuickBooks, how I track my mileage, whatever. A lot of that is very similar. So that's going to be linked down below, all these things that I have been able to document over the last almost 12 years of business. So let's first talk about having an LLC, things that you can do practically as a mom. Let's just talk about that because I didn't even think that I was going to own my own business, but I was a teacher. I have a master's degree in education, and I had a kid for the first time in 2010, and I just did not realize how expensive childcare was. I just didn't even fathom the cost of it and how much it would wreck our entire budget. We had to go down to living with a family, living in someone's attic, living in someone's basement to live off of one income. And if I would have known this by the time that I had graduated, by the time that I had gotten my master's, by the time that I had my life planned out, I would have definitely taken a different path, definitely figured out, like, I'm going to do media marketing, I'm going to do, I'm going to learn graphic design, I'm going to learn coding, I'm going to learn websites, whatever, so that I could do that virtually, I could do that from home. And so it definitely, hindsight is 2020. So if you are not married and you do not have kids yet, start getting these skill sets now. Start getting those side hustles down now. Before you have kids, before that you have a marriage, start starting a podcast, start consulting, start getting a little side hustle plan, start learning some website stuff, start learning graphic design, start learning virtual assisting, start learning a lot of these things, websites, CRMs, whatever. It takes for you to work from home, for you to save thousands of dollars in childcare. And I know with 2020, a lot of people were blindsided by this, blindsided by homeschooling, blindsided by working from home and working virtually. I'm telling you now, we need to prepare for possibly another shutdown like that. And I'm not that I want to wish that on our country, whatever, but I just think it's good to have a plan in place, to have a plan, to know what you're going to do. If you have to work virtually, knowing what you have to do, if you have to have your kids stay home with you, if they're sick, whatever. I think it's just, as women and as women of God, I think it's important that we are prepared. And I think 2020 definitely proved that. A lot of people were not prepared, and so my business skyrocketed. I had all of these local restaurants, catering companies, anybody, like bars, clubs, fashion people, whatever, were literally asking for consults the entire time. I had homeschool consults going on the entire time. I mean, I was cooking. I was making so much money on passive income streams, online stores, and social media marketing. It could just, which was great because my husband was unemployed at the time, if you didn't hear my story before. So anyway, one, you need to figure out what you're going to do from home so that you can prepare your family, you can be able to work from home with your kids. Think about what you love to do. Think about what helps you relax, helps you create. For me, photography, graphic design has been that outlet. I'm able to meet people. I'm able to mentor people, coach people in those areas, and I love it. It might be jewelry making for you. It might be clothes making. It might be makeup artistry. It might be physical, like painting. It might be coding. It might be building prosthetics from a 3D printer at home. It could be coming up with stationery, handwriting, whatever it is. They are selling safety pins and paper clips on Tiffany's website for thousands of dollars, and people buy them. Clearly there's a market for random things. Okay, so you do not need to feel like, oh, well, nobody's going to buy this. Don't ever say that. Never say never. Because you never know. You never know. So anyway, decide what you're going to do. Then, once you have your whole budget in place, how much you're going to spend, write down every single item that you have to get into it, workshops that you need to do, people you need to talk to, mentor, all of that needs to be written down and thought through, like, how much do I need to make a month in order to make this a side hustle, in order to make this be justifiable? I would say if you're going to make more than $200 to $300 a month, become an LLC. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every mile that you drive for that business, every time you pick up the phone and talk to a client, you go to the post office to mail your thing or whatever, that is mileage that you could be paying yourself back at the end of the year from taxes. Every supply you buy on Amazon can be written off. Every computer that you have to buy for running your business, written off. Every workshop that you have to make, to do, to learn whatever, that can be written off. And I'm telling you right now, so many people trip up in this, and it gets down to tax time, and they're like, oh my gosh, I owe so much, blah, 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 and I don't have any receipts, whatever. I'm going to tell you, buy QuickBooks for self-employed ASAP. It'll track your mileage. It'll track all your receipts. When it's time for tax time, goes right in TurboTax. 45 minutes later, boom, everything is lined up. Okay, love it, love it, love it. Willing to pay the extra, whatever, it's $15 a month, whatever it is, totally worth it. Okay, so one, if you're making more than $500 to $600 a month, I would say become an LLC, like now. Even if you don't think you're going to make that much money, do it. Do it for taxes, do it for your family, all the things that you need to write off, coffee with clients, sitting down, having dinner with people, talking about your business, blah, 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 that can all be written off. Uniform stuff, shirts you have to buy, supplies, boots you have to buy to whatever for your business, that can be written off. I'm just saying, it's worth paying yourself to drive. Okay. Then you're going to decide all that, write down all of those things, write down how much you're going to make, write down how much you need to make, write down your purpose, your mission, what you're going to need to buy, whatever. Then you're going to go to your state's SEC corporation. You might need to have some kind of, especially if you're in a state where you need to have like a, beauty license or something to perform your said business. That might be something first and foremost to take care of. In Virginia, you don't have to have a special certification to do makeup, hair, nails, or photography at this time. And so it's a lot easier for Virginia businesses to start. You don't even need to have a special contracting license to be a handyman if you're under a certain amount for being a contractor, whatever, with certain contracts and the amount. And so you need to look in first in your state what you're allowed to do and how much certifications that you need. That's definitely laying the groundwork. Once you get all that, go to the SEC website in your state, register your LLC. This is your limited liability corporation. This is what is so important because, God forbid, you trip at a wedding, you trip on somebody, totally happened to me, and they take you to court. Everything from your business can be put on the stand. They can take away all of your business. They can take away everything in your business savings account, but they cannot touch your personal assets. They cannot touch your personal house, your personal car, because you become a separate entity completely. Okay, then you take your LLC paperwork, then you go to your local city hall, you talk with them, you sign like a $50 whatever check to get your city license, and that determines like how you can practice, if you're allowed to practice in your home, if you're allowed to practice, whatever. This is why I think learning virtual stuff is so important because there's really there's no really like big laws against, like obviously if you're doing hair and makeup in your house, there might be some local laws against that, or photo studio or something. But if you're learning virtual stuff, if you're doing graphic design, if you're doing virtual assisting, you can work from your home and you can watch your kids, and you don't have to have any of this random, like, have an inspector come and do your home and whatever, and you're less liable for equipment breaking, for whatever, all these things. So I highly stress learning graphic design, virtual stuff, web, application coding, whatever. Highly recommend if you can. Then you're going to go get your business license. Therefore, you can take money, you can charge your prices, you can start doing your website, your social media, your marketing, all of that stuff. I cannot emphasize enough how many people, they do exactly opposite of what I just said, and they start their social media page first, and they start their website first, and they plunk down thousands of dollars in getting photos made and getting their website designed and getting all of this stuff done, but then they don't have an LLC. And then what happens is they go do a job, they go do taxes, and then they can't write off any of that stuff. Then they get into their personal, checking account, business account, and they're trying to get a loan for their business. It's a mess. Get your LLC first, people. Just do it. Get all the things laid out first, so that way you don't have to backtrack and do all this stuff. Okay, getting your license LLC. Let's review some things for the future. Next time, we're going to talk about super practical stuff, guys. Like, which social media platform should you be on, websites, ways to save money on a website. Do you even need a website? What are you trying to do with that? Is it worth spending the money on? What are some website companies that are drag and drop that would be worth it? So, anyway, join us next time. This week one was talking about LLC. Remember, below I have a free PDF starting and envisioning your LLC, especially if you have a kid, especially if you have a preteen. This is a great resource for them. I also have down below an entire link to my blog about forming your LLC and forming a lot of these QuickBooks and resources that I use personally every day in my business. So that's going to be down below. Next week we're going to talk about social media, websites, branding, all of that stuff. We'll see you guys in a little bit. See you next time.